Welcome to Walking the Path. Have you ever noticed that, like, uh, all the roles we play in life? Like, imagine that your ego had a costume closet, and you could open up that closet door and just look at all the different costumes, all the different roles we've played. This is Unbecoming, the year in review. And what we're talking about is to just see what roles we played this year. What roles did I play the most this year? What roles should get an Academy Award? You know, what roles did I play that I don't want to play anymore? What roles am I not available for anymore? That's what we really want to talk about today in Walking the Path. This is the Unbecoming Review, and I'm so grateful that you're here. And I'm here at Rythmia. As you can tell behind me, there's this big sign that says Rythmia. And this is where I get to show up for the last 9 years and to facilitate classes and to work with individuals who have made a bold choice, a courageous choice to see the roles that they've been playing. And because a lot of those roles aren't working anymore. You know, they worked before, but they're not anymore. And sometimes it's so hard to take them off because we confuse the role with our identity. So this is what happens at Rythmia every week. People come, they see the roles that they've been playing, they see who they've become, and they get to merge back together with their soul, come back together, so that they can step boldly into their lives. That happens every week here. So what a beautiful way to start the new year. Come see us at Rythmia. Now, back to the topic, Unbecoming. This is the year in review. So let's just take a moment and be clear right from the start that Unbecoming is not about fixing yourself. It is not a self-improvement project. It is not a campaign to upgrade, you know? It's not anything like that. Unbecoming is actually the opposite. Unbecoming is actually realizing that I was already whole to begin with. Now, we've heard people say that, oh, you're whole and complete. In fact, the spiritual industry, you know, there's lots of spaces that will say you're whole and complete, but the undercurrent is, but tomorrow you'll be a little bit more whole and a little bit more complete. In other words, you're not quite there yet. Unbecoming is really realizing down deep, it's this cosmic unclenching. It's a dropping of your shoulders. It's an exhale. It's a pause that says, I'm tired of performing the roles that I think I need to play in order to be safe, in order to be loved, in order to be accepted, in order to belong, in order to feel worthy. It's saying, I'm done proving myself. I'm done proving my worth and my value. I'm inherently valuable. Nobody looked in your crib and said, you are so sweet, so cute, and you're going to be worthy once you meet your sales goal. Nobody said that. You were worthy and whole as you came in, and you didn't have to do anything to prove it. And that's still the truth today. But what happens is we go through life and, we start trying to improve. For me, for a lot of years, I was like, I was trying to become the best version of myself. Have you ever heard that? Anybody ever said that? I want to be the best version of myself. That means the current version ain't good. And that's the underpinning of this fix yourself trap that we get caught into when we seek to improve. Now, don't get me wrong. Improvement is beautiful. Expansion is gorgeous. The thing is, most of our desire to improve and expand is connected to a toxic belief that I'm not enough. Anytime you try and build and improve and expand on a lack, on limitation, on not enoughness, it's building a castle in the sky, castle on sand. It's building a house on sand, I think is what the biblical structure saying is. I would go to events like they were spiritual Disneyland. I'd highlight my highlights. All this stuff that I was doing. And then it was one day in a mastermind session that something cracked open for me. I was, with this group of people that were, sharing their wins. It was supposed to be this beautiful thing. We're sipping mineral water, and somebody shares their success, and everybody claps, and I clap on the outside, but on the inside, I was like, I want that. Why is it them and not me? And then it was like, oh my God, I'm evil. I'm like, who am I? Who is this person? Jealousy and envy? That's not who I am. I'm a spiritual person. I'm this, I'm that. And that idea of jealousy and envy, it's the beginning actually of accepting ourselves when we start to see the patterns that we play in order to stay safe. And what I saw, and what I think you guys will see as well in this process, is something happened at some point in my childhood, and I made a decision that the way that I stay safe is by being perfect. The way that I belong is by pleasing people. The way that I feel worthy is, putting other people's needs above my own. These are the roles that we begin to play. Now, here's the thing. This little flare of envy, that's when I realized it wasn't about them, it was about me. Right? That's the thing. It's not about them. So life is the curriculum. When we start moving through life and we start noticing these unwanted emotions, comparison, fear, lack, worry, limitation, envy, jealousy, greed, right? We want to banish them. Well, those aren't spiritual. I shouldn't be envious. I shouldn't be jealous. I should be different. I'm not enough as I am. That's the rub right there. But the thing is, your jealousy, your envy, your not enoughness, your fear, your lack, your worry, your limitation, those are actually parts of you that you have exiled because they don't fit the image of who you think you should be. And they're begging to come, they're banging on the door to come back in. And we're keeping them exiled. And we think that this is a really cool point. We think that healing my jealousy and envy is that I'll never feel jealous or envious again. Healing my not enoughness means that I'll never feel not enough again. Healing my fear of rejection means that I'll never be shy again, or I'll never withhold again. No. And this is the thing. We want to welcome those parts back in, but it doesn't mean we're welcoming we're welcoming the exiled parts in, not to change them, not to reform them, not to remold them. We're welcoming those parts back in so they can have a seat at the table. Let's use the metaphor of a boardroom. I'm going to use two metaphors: barking dog and boardroom, right? So here's the thing. If I've exiled my jealousy and envy, they're outside the boardroom, and I'm trying to conduct a meeting, and they're outside, they're banging on the window, they're yelling shit. I can't conduct the meeting. All of a sudden, jealousy and envy are controlling the meeting. And if I let them in, I don't want to let them in and transform them. I want to let them in and have them have a seat at the table. I don't want their voice to change. Their voice is no longer running the show, because this is where sovereignty comes in. Once I heal that part of me and I bring it in, I merge with it, it doesn't mean it goes away. Because frequently I hear in integration, when I do one-on-one sessions with people for integration, is, I thought I healed this. It's a common refrain. I thought I healed this. You did. And the voice, we don't want to suppress it. That's the whole thing. We don't want to suppress it. Now, here's the barking dog metaphor. So my dog barks. A lot of times he's barking at nothing, but I want my dog to bark, right? The whole point is, if somebody's coming that I don't want coming, I want to know. So what do I have to do? When the dog barks, I got to go to the window and look. Oh, that's just the neighbor coming home with the groceries. It's okay. So there's some good information that the dog brings, but I don't want him to control, freak out. I don't need to freak out every time my dog freaks out. So that's good information. The same thing with your jealousy, the same thing with your envy, the same thing with your fear, the same thing with your comparison, the same thing with any part of you that you don't like, that you've exiled. You bring it in now, doesn't mean that voice goes away. It means that voice still has good information, because why did you have that voice in the beginning? To protect you. What did jealousy and envy do for me? It was reminding me, like, hey, dude, don't get left behind. You got to catch up. It was trying to get me to move forward at the level of a 6-year-old or 7-year-old. Now, I don't want that 6-year-old or 7-year-old to be running the show now, but there's still good information. I still need to be aware. I don't need to be stuck in comparison, but it's good to know what's going on. So here's the thing. I don't want to exile that voice. I don't want to bring it in and change it to something else. I bring it into the boardroom and I give it a seat at the table. And then I'm the CEO and I get to get, thank you for your opinion. That's really good. I don't think it's valid right now, but I want you to stay on that and let me know if there's anything I need to be aware of, because that was good information. Thank you. That's sovereignty. That's what this is really all about. Unbecoming. So this year, as this is the end of the year, the end of the cycle, the end of a 9 year, so it's the end of shedding. You know, we're moving into a new 2026. We want to close 2025 powerfully. Let's look back. I'm encouraging you to look back at all the roles you've played this year. What was the role that you most played? Was it the peacekeeper? Was it the healer? Was it the one who had it all together? Was it the one that didn't need any help? Was it the achiever? Was it the quiet one? Was it the one whose needs, who didn't have needs? What role did you play? They were brilliant. They're brilliant roles. And typically every emotion, every role that we play has an emotion that we learned to avoid. Every role that we play has an emotion that we've learned to avoid. For example, the caretaker hides fear of being a burden. The peacekeeper, hides fear of rejection. The good one hides desire. The quiet one hides anger or need. The spiritual one hides humanity. The strong one might hide sorrow. Every role that we play is hiding an emotion. And all of these are the shadow, not because they're wrong, but because we push them out of the boardroom and we want to let them back in, but we don't want to change them. That's the subtlety of the fix yourself trap. Because it even comes into, all right, I'm healing, I'm merging back, I'm bringing these parts of me back as long as they change and they don't have a voice anymore. Well, that's exactly what we were doing when we were putting them out of the boardroom. Again, I want my dog to bark. I have to get up and to say, okay, that's nothing to worry about. That I don't want to worry about. Thank you. So when those voices come back, if you've healed those feelings of jealousy or envy, feeling those feelings of feeling left behind or being left out, or not belonging, or not being lovable, or not being worthy, and you come back, you healed that, and then you have a feeling of not being worthy, thank that voice. It's just information, but you're the one who's in control now. You're the sovereign self, the big S self. You're the CEO of this boardroom, baby, and you get to say, thank you for that information. I'll take it under advisement. You stay on that for me, but I don't think it's applicable to this situation. We're going to go in this direction. This is sovereignty, and this is what unbecoming is, and this is the unbecoming review. It is not destruction; it's integration. It's the soul gently returning to itself. So, I'm just going to check some notes here. Yeah. As you look back at the costumes that you put on this year, we want to meet the shadow. We want to meet our shadow, and we want to welcome it in, and we want to give it a seat at the table, and we don't want to alter its voice. We want to honor its voice. It's not the boogeyman. It's not the monster in the closet. It is the part of us that does have good information, but not all the time. And we now step into our sovereign self that still has a voice. It's just not running the show. It still has a voice. It's just not driving the bus. We're putting it in the back seat with some snacks, because that part of us that developed those coping strategies, those survival techniques, it was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. That part shouldn't be supervising anything more than snack time at this point. We get to take control of sovereignty, right? We get to be sovereign. We get to decide how we're interpreting the narratives of our lives. We get to place our awareness where we want to place it. We get to create affirmative narratives for the things that happened in our lives. And we get to do that through inspired action. This is sovereignty. And it requires, like any good coach or CEO or leader of any sort gets information from everywhere, compiles that information, chooses what's valid, what needs to be used, what doesn't. This is the second part of this is the real part of integration. So when you see the thing that you've been exiling, when you see that shadow and you're doing your shadow work, here's the mistake of most shadow work is we want to bring it in to change it, which is the same thing we were doing when we were exiling it. We actually want to bring it in and give it a voice, but with the sovereign self running the show. So, yeah, that's our talk for today. I think that's our talk for today. That's what, oh, thank you, Prince Shop Gal. I love it. You're awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm so grateful and so thankful, and I'm sending you so much love on this beautiful mid-December day. Lots of love from the tropics of Central America, and lots of warmth and joy for you during this holiday season, whatever your traditions are. Sending you much love, and I'll see you next week. Peace and blessings.